Perched on a cliff 60 meters above the Aegean Sea stands a forgotten sentinel of the ancient world, the Temple of Poseidon, one of Greece's most breathtaking ruins. For 2,500 years, this temple has watched over sailors, storms, and empires. This isn't just a ruin, it's a portal into myth, power, and memory. Welcome to Cape Sounion. Cape Sounion lies at the southernmost tip of the Attica Peninsula, about 70 kilometers from Athens. In the 5th century BCE, this wasn't just a scenic point, it was a strategic outpost. The temple sits right above one of the busiest ancient sea routes. Any ship traveling to or from the vital port of Piraeus would pass beneath it. For the ancient Athenians who depended on their navy to project power, Sunnion was more than just a lookout. It was a signal, a declaration to allies and enemies alike: the gods are watching, and so are we. The temple we see today was constructed around 440 BCE, during the Golden Age of Athens, under the leadership of Pericles, the same period that gave us the Parthenon. But it wasn't the first. Earlier versions of the sanctuary had already existed here by the 7th century BCE. The original temple was destroyed by the Persians in 480 BCE during Xerxes' invasion. What we see now is its majestic replacement, built in gleaming white marble from Agrigenta, a quarry just 4 kilometers away. Built in the Doric order, the temple originally had 34 columns, each over 6 meters tall. Today only 15 remain. The dimensions were precise: 13 columns on the long sides and 6 on the short. The layout mirrors that of other Periclean temples, such as the Hephaestion in Athens. Unlike the Parthenon, this temple was more than a religious center. It was a symbol of Athens' maritime might. The inner chamber, or naos, likely housed a monumental bronze statue of Poseidon, trident in hand, gazing out over the sea. Poseidon was one of the 12 Olympians, and perhaps the most feared by those who relied on the sea. He ruled over storms, earthquakes, and horses. His moods were unpredictable, his wrath legendary. The Athenians built this temple not just to honor him, but to appease him. For seafarers, this headland marked both beginning and end. Offerings were made before journeys, prayers whispered on return. Lives depended on the sea, and so lives depended on Poseidon. Cape Sounion is also steeped in one of the most poignant myths of ancient Greece. Here, King Aegeus of Athens waited for his son Theseus to return from Crete, where he'd gone to slay the Minotaur. They had agreed, if Theseus survived, he would change the black sails of his ship to white. But Theseus forgot. When Aegeus saw black sails on the horizon, he believed his son had died. In grief, he hurled himself from the cliffs into the sea below. The waters have borne his name ever since, the Aegean Sea. This legend isn't just poetry. It reveals how deeply mythology and geography intertwined in the ancient Greek worldview. Cape Sounion wasn't only dedicated to Poseidon. Archaeologists have uncovered remains of a sanctuary to Athena, just 400 meters inland. This suggests that the site was part of a larger religious complex, a sacred zone at the very edge of the civilized world. Interestingly, the Temple of Poseidon forms what some scholars believe to be a sacred triangle, with the Temple of Aphaea on Aegina and the Temple of Hephaestus in Athens. Whether intentional or coincidental, it reflects the Greek obsession with geometry, symmetry, and meaning. The Temple of Poseidon was never just a temple, it was a living institution. From the moment it was rebuilt in the 440s BCE, it became a vital symbol of Athenian identity. This was the height of the Delian League. Every ship that passed beneath it saw more than a monument. They saw a message of dominance. But Sunnion's sacred role stretches even further back. Excavations reveal votive offerings from the 8th century BCE, bronze figurines, drinking vessels, amphorae, all left by early seafarers praying for protection. The original archaic temple, built in the 6th century BCE, was destroyed by the Persian army in 480 BCE, part of the same campaign that sacked the Acropolis. The replacement was not just restoration, it was a defiant act of cultural resurrection. This new temple also served practical functions. Some scholars believe it was connected to a coastal signaling network stretching from Sunnion to the Acropolis, helping to warn Athens of incoming fleets. It hosted rituals, festivals, and public dedications. Inscriptions naming priests and donors still survive. Even after the Peloponnesian War and Athens' decline, the temple remained active. Roman travelers recorded its beauty. Its purpose outlived the empire that built it. And then, centuries later, during the 19th century, a different kind of pilgrim arrived. The British poet Lord Byron visited Cape Sounion in 1810 and was so moved by its majesty that he carved his name into one of the temple's columns. That inscription remains there to this day, a romantic if controversial scar on an ancient stone. Today, thousands make the pilgrimage to Cape Sounion, not just for the history but for the sunset. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting fire across the sea, it's easy to understand why ancient Greeks believed gods lived here. It's one of the few places where you can literally stand where myth happened, where the gods were feared, heroes were mourned, and poetry still echoes on the wind. The Temple of Poseidon is not a ruin. It is a monument carved into the bones of the earth, standing defiant against time, tide, and empire. For more than 2,500 years, these marble columns have watched galleys, triremes, and tankers pass beneath them. They have seen warships and wedding boats. They have seen the death of gods and the birth of nations. Here myth becomes geography, stone becomes memory, and every block, every carving, every fallen piece of marble still hums with the energy of the ancient world. When you stand here on the edge of Attica at the end of the world, you're not just looking at history, you're standing inside it. This is where Athens sent its prayers, where poets found their muse, and where the gods once looked down and listened. So if you believe these stories still matter, if you feel the pull of the ancient world, subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button, leave a comment below, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Because history isn't over, it's waiting to be rediscovered.